Good morning. Don't worry, this is not going to be one of those type of videos. This is just to let you hear my alarm call this morning. I don't know if you can hear that, but that lovely drumming sound. I thought I'd got all the ropes tied off properly. Clearly not. And also, I think I need to get some curtains for this place, because I've came upon a problem that we don't usually get in the north of Scotland, and it's a wee thing called sunshine, and it's absolutely blinding at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm kind of supposed to be on holiday, well, a working holiday making this boat, but aye, between the sunshine blinding me and that drumming on the mast, I think it's time to get up for a coffee. So yeah, let's go. This here is the small tender that came with the catamaran. She's been lying underneath for over 20 years now, and as you can see, she's been lying upside down. So all this wood is it's just completely rotted. I think she's seen better days, but this part here is fiberglass, so somebody might want to do something with her. I think because I've brought the inflatable, I'm going to use that. It's a lot lighter and a lot easier to move around about. But I've spoke to the boatyard owner, and they're happy that I leave it beside all the tenders, so that somebody might pick it up and try and recycle it. As I've said in previous videos, I really don't like waste, and although it's too far gone for me, and to be honest too heavy and cumbersome, somebody might get use of it, you know. This is a kind of tidal mud flat in this area. Somebody might fix it up and just go a few days fishing and things and get enjoyment out of it. So aye, I'll leave it in the yard and hopefully somebody picks it up and repairs it. As far as I can see, it's only the woodwork that's needing redone. All the fiberglass is intact. There's no cracks in it, there's no blisters or anything like that. It is just this wood. It's just rotted from lying upside down for all those years. So I'll get this out the road, and then we're going to look at power washing and hopefully get this thing cleaned. Well, that's her sitting there, and if anybody's watching this that's at Wilson's of Hailing that would like it, please feel free just to talk to Sean, and I'm sure he'll be happy to give you it. As I said, I'd love to see her getting repaired and getting used rather than just getting thrown away. So yeah, feel free. Now today is going to be filled with one of my least favourite things on the world, and that is sanding, especially sanding the hull of a boat. To say I dislike it would be an understatement. So, to distract myself for a few minutes first, I noticed this the other day when I was power washing, and this is right on the roof, and it looks like something's been dropped on here and it's damaged it. So I'm going to grind this back, and then I'm going to repair the gel coat on it, and that can be drying while I'm sanding for probably 14-16 hours. Aye, so let's get into this and put off the inevitable. Okay, I've got that area there done, and while I was at it I found another small area just in here. This was more of a crack, but I'll get that filled in. I'm just going to use a fairing compound type thing. Once we get home I can do a more thorough job. I just don't want the water getting in underneath this, so we'll give it a go and see what I can do. Okay, I've got this done. This is just the first coat, so it'll need a sand again, and then maybe a second coat. And the same on this side. This is just paint, but this bit here and this bit was a good bit deeper, so I want to get that sorted before I sand this all down up here and paint it. I think I'm going to kiwi grip this. I've got kiwi grip here, so I'll use that. And yep, you've probably seen it. I never brought any spatulas or any scrapers with me, so I improvised. I went away the other day and bought a bronze padlock for the boats so that you don't get the galvanic corrosion, because standard ones just seem to corrode and seize solid within a few weeks. So I went and got a half decent one, and then I used the packaging as a spatula, and it worked pretty well. Anyway, I'm going to allow these to dry, and I'm unfortunately going to crack on with the sanding. Now, when I'm sanding this, I don't want to go all the way back to fiberglass. I'm going to be using 2-pack epoxy paint, so I want to sand it enough that I can key it so that the epoxy can get a good mechanical bond, and also so that things like this vanish, because the stickers have been on that for years obviously, and I've just painted round about it, and as a result there's a lip. I'm also going to be changing the name to something different, and I'll reveal that later on in another episode. And I know some people think it's bad juju to change a boat name, but I mean, to be honest, if it wasn't for bad juju I wouldn't have any juju at all, so I think I'm going to crack on and change the name. But this is all going to need sanded right down, and this as well, and then there's scratches like this and chips, so that's all got to get done. I'm going to have to prime it just so that the 2-pack sits on it properly, and then all this stuff here, this flaky stuff, that's all got to come down. That's at the water line there, so I'm guessing that it wasn't painted properly before. I don't know, because there's quite a few patches like this on the boat, and you can see where it's been taped. So it's not adhered to it properly. Sorry about that aeroplane. It's quite busy for aeroplanes in this area. I'm going to crack on with this. I can't put it off any longer. If I want to get the boat in the water I need to get it painted. As I said, I'll get things like this all buffed down, sanded down, and I'll get the rest of it a good key on it, and then I'll give it a clean with some thinners. I think I'll do what I've done with the deck cleaning, and I'll just put a lot of it on fast forward, because there's a lot of sanding to do, and I don't think anybody's wanting to sit and watch sanding the whole episode. So I'll crack on and I'll get geared up. here, this here is actually just a Scotch Brite pad wheel, so it's not even sandpaper, it's just Scotch Brite, and it buffs it down nice. It took away all the heavy ridges on that, and now I can go over these with just a normal sanding disc. And I'm pretending to myself that it's better this way, but it's actually faster, which is better for me. But aye, I'll get onto this with the normal sanding disc now, and that should come nice and smooth. It takes that top coat off, but it doesn't touch the gel coat underneath, which is a lot harder. So aye, I'll crack on with this and see how it goes. I think Sean from the boatyard has actually started to move a lot of boats so that he can get mine out, because mine's has been buried in the back there for about 20 years, so aye, there's a lot to move just to get mine out. I don't know whether it's going to come out before I paint it or after. Probably makes sense to come out before, so that the strops aren't going on the new paint. I'm having a walk round just now. There's another Iroquois, and it's got a nice scoop for the outboard, so aye, I want to have a look at that again. I don't know if you can actually see that, but it looks like there's a Spitfire doing loop-to-loops there. It's actually really cool. I love the sound of the engine. Here's another one here that looks like an old ghost ship. It looks as if it's been lying here for quite a while. Here it is in behind here. There's so many bolts just kind of deposited behind other bits. It's hard to find them sometimes. Aye, this scoop here. I like the look of this a lot better than the situation I've got going with my outboard. Got it going up to brackets up here, and I'm guessing that this is to put a pulley on for to pull this up and down. But aye, this is a really good system. I'm actually filming it just now so I remember it, because the whole point of what I'm doing just now is to get the boat kind of patched up enough that I can get her home, and then over the years I'll do some really in-depth work on her and strip a lot of bits out and get a lot of nice parts on her, like this. And then these, I like these as well. Aye. Then it's just a case of, once the wood rots, making more wood, or even better, do wood and then fiberglass so that it doesn't rot. Aye. Apparently this one's been lying in here for a long while, but it's a beautiful looking boat. So aye, a lot of what I'm doing here, as I said, is just so that I remember. Okay, so that sounds like aluminium. So you must be able to buy this from somewhere. At the very least I could replicate it. Anyway, I don't want to go poking prodding about with somebody else's boat too much. Especially this one here. Jeez, I think if I touched this one it'd fall apart. It's got a nice wee wheel on it though. Aye, it's got a nice wheel. It's a shame it just seems to be rotten to bits. I imagine if it's in here though, somebody's planning on salvaging it or saving it. But I think they've got a lot of work in their hands. Jeez. This is like a project for the guys from Ship Happens. They were renovating a huge World War II boat, and it had a huge amount of work in it, but I don't think it had even this amount. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, if this was underwater, you imagine eels and things just appearing out of it. The occasional shark. I love the wee portholes though. There's quite a few boats like this in here. And I think this one's actually split down the centre. It's almost as if it's broke its back or something. Anyway, I better stop procrastinating and get back to this sanding. It's just any excuse to stop. Did I happen to mention just how much I dislike sanding? Ugh. Well, at least that's most of it done. Thank God. I'll get this last wee bit done and then I'll give it a power wash down just to get all the dust and things off it, and once it's dry I'll look at cleaning it with some thinners or something, and then I can start priming it. Right, I'm going to make a start on the primer for the anti-foul. So it's going to be the below the water stuff, but I'm actually going to bring it back up to here and completely do that part that bubbled off. I don't know whether they never primed it or whether it wasn't underwater stuff or what it was, but I'm not going to tape it off. I'm actually just going to kind of freehand it, and then I'll bring the other primer down on top of that, and then we'll go for anti-foul, or we'll go for hull paint first and then the anti-foul. I think the 2-pack paint takes a good 8 hours to dry, so aye, I'll have to give that some time. But this primer stuff dries quite fast, as does the anti-foul. Anyway, I'll go and get prepared and make a start. Now, I'm not wanting to show too much of the paint for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I think every yacht channel in the world always shows loads and loads of painting, but the main reason is my wife Sally is stuck at home looking after her daughter, and she's not going to get to see it, so, or she's not going to get to be here to experience it. So I want to do it as a wee kind of surprise for her. So what I'm going to do is just come in and do wee snippets here and there. As I said, we've all seen boats getting painted before. This is just the underwater primer, as I said, and then there'll be anti-foul goes on top of this. But I'll do the primer here, and then I'll do above water primer here, and then I'll do the hull paint, and then we'll come back and we'll anti-foul this. So it's a long boring process. Aye, I'll just do some wee bits and pieces, and then I'll come back in for the kind of this is how it looks now part. As I said, it'll be a nice surprise for my wife, so aye, I'll crack on and come back when I'm done. You know, I think my plans have changed slightly. The plan was to get this boat capable of going home as soon as humanly possible, and I do mean within a week, because anybody that knows me knows that I'm always in a rush to get things done, and I'm always in a rush to get on to the next project. But that changed this evening. I was just painting away here, and Rebecca from Multi-Hull World, that I bought the boat from, she nipped along with the paperwork for it, and we got chatting, and you know, I said to her that I'd never sailed a catamaran before. In fact, I told her that I was a complete novice at sailing altogether, and she straight away became quite concerned for me, because apparently these catamarans are quite prone to tipping. I mean, it's something I had heard and I'd researched about, and to be honest, in the back of my mind I was going to keep the sails reefed and things like that, and underpower it rather than go anywhere near full power. I'd thought that, you know, even if I got 4 knots all the way up the road, I'd be happy at that. When these things, once you're proficient, they're capable of 12. But I think she was so concerned for me that actually she offered to spend a couple of days, the team at the brokerage actually, to spend a couple of days showing me the ropes with this boat, and you know, show me what she's capable of and what her weaknesses are. So that kind of that made me sit up and take note. I've always been the same. When somebody more experienced than me talks, I have a tendency to listen. So the initial idea was to get this thing ready, splash it and head straight up the coast as soon as possible. But I think I'm going to spend a few days in this area just getting to grips with the boat, and getting some advice, and hopefully, you know, I can get a couple of days of tutelage and people passing their experience on to me and make it a lot safer for me. As I said in a few videos, my background is powerboats. So I've got 3 outboards here, and I had thought if I was at all unsure, I was just going to come up on the engine. But I mean, I'm not going to pass up the opportunity to learn how to sail one of these catamarans. So things have changed a bit, and I'm going to spend a few more days here. Obviously not on the hard, but in the water. And just get to grips with this thing and get some help and advice. And Rebecca, if you're watching this, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I mean, I've actually slated brokers quite a lot since I started this channel, because usually they're just interested in the cash. But fair play to you, straight away you became more concerned about my safety than anything else. So thank you very much. And I'm not being sponsored by Multi-Hull World at all, but if you're looking for a catamaran, give Rebecca a shout. She spent about 2 months going back and forward with me, and I'm sure I was a absolute pain in her backside for a boat that was worth very little money to them, but she still persevered and she was still gracious, and she still helped me get this boat. Obviously not for the £1,000 I initially thought, but by the time I get this boat fixed properly, it's going to be worth 2, maybe 3 times what I paid for it. So I'm really happy at that, and I'm even happier that Rebecca took the time to give me some advice today and actually make me pause, because I spend my entire life at full throttle. I'm the kind of guy that I never actually experience anything because I'm that busy rushing to get something done and get on to the next thing. Experiencing things is usually for other people. I'm usually the guy that's doing everything to help everybody experience things. But maybe in this case I'll actually just take my foot off the accelerator a bit, learn some new skills and experience something. So I'm actually quite excited. I don't remember the last time I actually gave myself permission just to stop. It's actually quite a weird concept for me. And I realise that this is probably, you're probably watching this sitting wondering what on earth is going on just now. But I'm actually underneath the hull, priming it and getting it ready for the antifill, and trying to avoid puddles, because I had the outboard running for about an hour today just to put it through its paces and make sure it wasn't overheating or cutting out or anything like that. Thankfully she's running sweet as a nut. So anyway, I'm going to be down here and I'll spend a few more days. I'm not going to spend too long because I've got to get back home. But I'm going to spend a few days and I'm going to learn some new skills, and I'm going to learn a bit more about this boat that I've just bought, and what she's capable of. It will not only make it safer for me going home, but it will make it safer for my wife once I get up there. So I'm happy at that. Excuse the wind noise. I just thought I'd give you a wee update. Obviously she's still got anti-foul and things to get on her, but aye, there's 2 coats of 2-pack on her, and she's looking quite good. Still a long way to go, and I'm in the process of doing rudders, and then I think I'm going to do the rudder boxes white. I've got a small can of 2-pack white there. But aye, it actually worked out quite well. I got the 5 litres, and I managed to get the boat done twice and the rudders done twice in the one 5-litre can, so it stretched out quite well. Aye, I'm quite happy with that. I mean, the weather's started to come in now, obviously, that I've started painting, so I'm going to pack everything up for the day and go on with other jobs, but I managed to get this done twice, so hopefully if it calms down a bit by tomorrow, I'll get the anti-foul and things on her, and I'll get the water line on it, and she'll be looking good. She looks like a completely different boat already, and I've only just started with her. Now, excuse the wind, it seems to have picked up quite a bit today. It's not quite like the Med anymore, it's more like the Highlands of Scotland. Maybe the weather's followed me, but anyway, one of the jobs that I'm doing today is I'm going to sort this anchor locker. I want a bracket in here so that I can clip my anchor line onto it, so that, you know, when I'm setting the anchor in bad weather, or I'm trying to haul it in bad weather, I've got it clipped on there, so that if it slips out of my hands, I've not just lost the anchor and 35 metres of chain and 60 metres of rope. It's never going to take any of the weight of anything, it's literally just in case it slides out of my hands. I mean, I've got a big cleat here, and then I've got one on either side, and I'm going to have a snubber between the two out here to hold the rope and the chain. So this is literally, it's just in case it slides out of my hands. But this is just fiberglass, and it's not as strong as I'd like. I mean, it's, as I said, it's only in case things slip out my hand, but it's still 35 metres of chain and a 20 kilo anchor on it, as well as the rope, so I want it to be a bit stronger. I've got this, excuse the paint on the hands, I've got this that I'm going to put through it, and it's going to come in about here. As I said, it's just, there's going to be a clip on it just to hold the rope. But what I'm in the process of fabricating just now is this. I'm just going to put this in here, and I'm going to bore it to the appropriate size, and I'm going to bolt that bracket right through. Obviously I'm going to, there's a bit of mahogany in here that I'm going to epoxy so that it's water resistant, or more water resistant, and then I'm going to bore, as I said, so that that bracket can go through. And I think this will give it a bit more strength. I think that's the way I'm going to go. Just it's probably more for peace of mind rather than anything else. As I said, there's not a huge amount of weight on it, but I would hate for it to drop it one day and the weight of the chain and things to drop down fast and torque this and crack it, because that's a much bigger fix. So I'll put this in here and I'll get it all sealed up and things, and then I'll come back and we'll see how it looks. Now, I tried to film me putting this in one-handed, absolute disaster, so I went with plan B. I've got this in now, and I've just got this wee backing plate to put on the underside, and I've got some size 13 nuts, and then I'll crank that right down, and that should be good and strong. As I said, it's stainless on mahogany, and I've got it all sealed up there with that epoxy. So, and as you see, a multitude of Sikaflex. That was from trying to film it one-handed, trying to hold the camera with my chin and use a skeleton gun to pump Sikaflex just doesn't work. Anyway, we'll come back in when we're down at the bottom putting the bolts on. Now, as we got this wee plate on the underside, if it will focus for these. And then we're going to put these nuts on. I should have taped this off. It's at that stage that it's just too loose for the ratchet to kick in. Now, that's in good and tight. I'm just going to have to clean that mess up now. We'll have a look and see what's happening up top here. Now, as I said, I overdone it in the Sikaflex by a long way, but that should be good and strong now. And as I said, that saves me losing my anchor. So that's another job off the list. We're getting there. There's not too many more to do now before I can actually splash her and start doing stuff on the water. I'm really excited, I can't wait. Now, that's the anchor, the chain and all the rope in there. To be honest, I didn't think it was all going to fit. It seemed like quite a big pile for it to go into that locker, but the locker's bigger than I thought. So I'm well happy at that. Wow, it's like a completely different place when the water's in. It's beautiful. Especially standing behind the camera here with the sun baking my back. The only problem is I forgot to bring shorts. I'm actually just coming out here to see what sort of depth it is when the water's in. because this is where I'll be getting launched, I think. As you can see, it's actually pretty deep. It doesn't look it from where my boat's sitting, so I was kind of worried, but I think you go out there and round about all the other boats and right out. I think you just have to stay between the channel markers. I'm actually a lot happier now, now that I can see it. Although the Iroquois is only, it's under half a metre the draft on it, I was still kind of concerned because I mean it looks as if it's really shallow all the time, but it's not. There is plenty of depth there to get out once the tide's in. And you can actually see the channel markers out there. That should hopefully take me right out. There's actually a few boats sailing around just now. There's a nice breeze, just enough for to fill the sails. And then there's one out there that looks like it's got the junk style sails. Red sails on it, it's gorgeous. At this stage the video is getting really long, so I'm going to finish it there. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share and subscribe, it really helps us out. And thank you very much for watching the video. And thank you to our first ever coffee, which was a lovely surprise.